Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to After the Sirens and leave a comment sharing which ancient survival method you want tested or explored next, because this channel exists for serious historians and survival-minded thinkers who value evidence, depth and forgotten knowledge. What most people miss about ancient Rome is not its armies or emperors, but the fact that it fed over 1 million people in a single city without refrigeration, electricity or modern sanitation. Food preservation was not a hobby or tradition. It was survival science refined over centuries of trial, failure and necessity. Roman kitchens were laboratories, and every method they used had a purpose tied to climate, logistics and long-term storage. Many of these techniques quietly outperform modern methods in durability and resilience. Today, you're going to learn 7 Roman food preservation secrets that worked across deserts, winters, long sea voyages and military campaigns, and how these methods can still be applied today by anyone serious about self-reliance and historical accuracy. Salting was a controlled chemical process, not simple dehydration. Romans understood that salt did more than dry food. It altered the internal environment of meat and fish, preventing bacterial growth while preserving texture and nutrition. Pork was layered with coarse sea salt in ceramic vats, then weighted to force moisture out slowly. After weeks of curing, it was rinsed, air-dried and stored in cool, shaded rooms. This method produced products like perna, an ancestor of modern prosciutto. Today, this can be replicated by curing meat with non-iodized salt, maintaining airflow and controlling humidity using cellars or shaded ventilated spaces rather than modern fridges. Fermentation was used to preserve nutrients while extending shelf life. Romans fermented cabbage, olives, fish and grains, not for flavour alone, but because fermentation stabilized food chemically. Sauerkraut-like cabbage preparations were common among soldiers because fermentation retained vitamin C, preventing scurvy during long campaigns. Fish fermentation produced garum, which lasted for years due to salt concentration and enzymatic breakdown. At home, fermentation can still be done safely using salt ratios, airtight ceramic containers and room temperature storage, making it ideal for off-grid preservation. Drying relied on airflow and shade rather than direct heat. Unlike many modern dehydration methods, Romans avoided intense heat, which damaged nutrients and attracted insects. Fruits, herbs and meats were dried in shaded courtyards with cross-ventilation. Figs were split and layered with fennel seeds to deter pests while drying slowly. This preserved sugars and texture. Today, this can be recreated using screened racks in shaded outdoor areas or well-ventilated indoor spaces without relying on electricity. Olive oil acted as a preservation barrier, not just a cooking ingredient. Cooked vegetables, cheeses and herbs were submerged in olive oil to block oxygen exposure. This prevented mold and spoilage while keeping food usable for months. Romans stored these jars in cool rooms below ground. The key was fully submerging the food and sealing containers properly. This same method still works today for preserving roasted peppers, herbs and soft cheeses when stored in dark, cool environments. Smoking was a long-term antimicrobial strategy. Roman smokehouses used slow-burning hardwoods to saturate food with preservative compounds while drying it gradually. This combination reduced moisture and introduced antimicrobial phenols. Sausages and fish were smoked over several days, not hours. Modern application requires patience rather than equipment. A controlled low-temperature smoke source, consistent airflow and time produce stable preserved food without refrigeration. Vinegar and acidic brines created hostile environments for decay. pickling in vinegar or fermented wine byproducts, preserved vegetables, eggs, and even meats. Romans understood acidity halted spoilage. Cucumbers, onions, and legumes were submerged in strong acidic solutions and sealed in amphorae. Today, using vinegar with appropriate salt levels and sterilized jars replicates this ancient technique reliably. Storage architecture was as important as preparation. Romans built kitchens and storage rooms underground or against thick stone walls to regulate temperature naturally. Amphorae were buried halfway into soil to stabilize heat and humidity. Grain silos were elevated to prevent pests and moisture. Modern homesteaders can apply this by using root cellars, insulated storage spaces, and earth-shelter designs, rather than relying solely on appliances. Ancient Roman food preservation was not primitive. It was precise, tested, and remarkably effective. These techniques fed armies, sustained cities, and allowed Rome to dominate the ancient world logistically as much as militarily. Many of these methods outperform modern refrigeration when infrastructure fails. If you value deep historical accuracy and practical survival knowledge, subscribe to After the Sirens. Share this video with fellow history enthusiasts and comment below on which Roman method deserves a modern experiment or reconstruction.